I'm joined by Noah Rothman, senior writer for National Review, who shares that opinion. Good morning, Noah. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. I'm well. How are you?
Good. Noah, I know you were a proud graduate of Seton Hall and Drew University. I wonder from that perspective, and as a rising influencer on the center right, do you think anything is going to change at Harvard?
Yes, I do, because I think a lot of things are changing in academia generally. Um, I would say that Claudine Gay's resignation isn't necessarily an inflection point in itself, but I do think it is epiphenomenal of a broader shift in academia, beginning broadly with a paradigmatic approach to the value of academia over the course of the last decade. Americans have begun confronting the fact that there's a lost ROI there, that no longer is it guaranteed that sending your kid to school to get a degree in a very inflated degree market will guarantee future results. That combined with this, what I really genuinely believe was a mugged by reality moment over the course of the weeks that followed the 10/7 massacre, watching what was happening on American campuses, has really affected the bottom line. Administrators, non-faculty administrators, and college officials are looking at the bottom line and seeing a lot of red. They're seeing applications decline and they're seeing donations dry up. That focuses the mind. And so, yeah, I don't think we would have seen what happened to Liz McGill at University of Pennsylvania, what happened to Claudine Gay at Harvard, and now the backlash that is coming for Sally Kornbluth at MIT, among others. I don't think that would have happened without this paradigmatic shift and without what happened at 10/7. So, yeah, I do think there are changes coming.
Okay, something I wrote this morning on X, Noah. I am a Harvard guy, and I haven't given him a dollar for years, so I've been mad at him for years. So there's just no reason for them to care what I think. But Bill Ackman is a liberal Democrat, and he's a venture fund billionaire. He's not giving him any money. But Penny Pritzker, Obama-era Commerce Secretary, Obamaite, left-wing Democrat, paradigmatic of the entire Harvard Corporation, has rejected calls that she resign and in fact announced that she will lead the search for the new Harvard president. My view is that the donors can't just simply sit on their donations. They must actually act to give the money they would have otherwise given to Harvard to a place like Hillsdale or Seton Hall or someplace. Hillsdale is a network benefits conservative college. I mean, that is a brand. You guys have Jack Butler as your online editor. He's a Hillsdale grad at National Review. He represents sort of like Hillsdale's takeover of conservative Washington. So when someone like Bill Ackman sends $50 million to Hillsdale, that will get the attention of the Harvard Corporation. Do you think there's a prayer of that happening?
Possibly. I think Hillsdale's a fantastic institution, but I don't expect the good liberals who have found themselves in a world they no longer understand to all of a sudden become conservatives. I don't expect that, and I don't want to impose that on them. What I do expect is to be more responsible with your donations, and there are many repositories, excellent institutions of higher learning that aren't necessarily Ivies, that are deserving of this sort of largesse and beneficence. And I would encourage them to do their research. Seton Hall isn't a conservative institution. Drew isn't a conservative institution. Many other colleges aren't conservative institutions, smaller liberal arts schools that nonetheless produce fantastic graduates with marketable skills. Every college in America has inflated humanities departments, has exploded non-faculty administrators who administer the workings around degrees that generally don't have a lot of market value. That is a society-wide problem. That is an institution-wide problem. It's not going to change overnight. But if you, as you say, there's a movement underway to mobilize these donors in support of institutions that have a market success, that don't inflate grades, and can demonstrate that most of their graduates go on to institutions and to careers that benefit themselves and society more broadly, then yes, I fully encourage them to do that. Will they all
I do want to say
Hillsdale
isn't.
Probably not.
Hillsdale produces conservatives, and conservatives self-select there, but it is itself a classic liberal arts academy. Great books. And there are others, like Benedictine College in Kansas. There are many fine places. I teach at Chapman. I think it is center-right. It's going more center than center-right as an undergraduate institution. Most of the law schools in the country are lost. I mean, they're just gone completely crit. Here's the second thing I wanted to ask you about, something I speculated about last night. Maybe we ought to start to encourage to the people to use the Israeli model of going into the army for 4 years and then start. College doesn't have to start at 18. We're living a lot longer. Go to the Army, serve your country, go to the Marines, the Air Force, go to the Peace Corps, do something for 2 to 4 years, get your education paid for, and then go to school rather than as a person perhaps ill prepared by your secondary education. What do you think of that option, Noah?
I think it's an extremely valuable option. A sense of service is absolutely something that is incredibly valuable, and it's something we've lost and no longer value in this society, no longer encourage in this society. There might be financial prohibitions on young students just getting out of high school. Maybe their families can't necessarily support that burden, but you can also work and generate some income for yourself for a year. And I think that's also a grounding experience for young students. Look, the answer to liberal bias on American campuses is not conservative bias. It is not to reimpose or socially engineer some sort of covenant that we like. The answer is to end the social engineering wholesale. It is to stop the process of watering down education to produce individuals who think the way they want the faculty in these colleges want them to think, and to teach them to learn how to navigate their environments on their own as independent functioning individuals. That's where colleges have fallen down on their face. They're no longer producing individuals who can navigate their environments competently and reflect well on their institutions and the people that they surround themselves with. That's the goal that we should be gearing these colleges towards. So yes, if that means a gap year, a service year, that's something. If it just means going into school and focusing on a STEM education, for example, or even a humanities education that is grounded in a Western tradition, that is grounded in an empirical tradition, that is not indoctrination, that's also valuable. What we're trying to avoid here is an indoctrination that leaves these students ill-equipped to understand their environments, to rationalize their environments. That's the problem. And so we should really narrow our focus on how to solve it.
What I want my parents' audience and teenagers who are driving to school right now to hear is that you don't walk into a building when there's an earthquake happening. It's a bad idea. I've been through earthquakes. I don't know if you have, Noah. The thing you do is you leave the building until the earthquake is over. There's an earthquake happening at every major elite institution in the United States right now. Get out of the building for a while. It's just not going to be a good place to be. University of Michigan yesterday announced that calling a student a kike is not an actionable offense. It is student speech. I'm just, so both of my alma maters have failed. They've just completely failed.
And
I want to switch
the
to
problem is that is a flat violation of their own standards. That is a double standard. This is an easy problem to fix. Apply the same standard. Literally, this is all anyone is asking.
One rule, just one standard. All right, now I've got Chris Christie coming
behind
up.
Every double standard is a single standard, and the single standard there is that the perceived liberal cause is good. That which is liberal, that which is progressive is good, so that which progressives do is functionally
Let's not say liberal. Let's say left-wing progressive.
I'm sorry?
All right, last question. Chris Christie is coming up next hour. Everybody I talk to, and I'm on the West Coast now, likes Chris Christie as a funny guy on TV. They think he's hurting Nikki Haley and stopping her from stopping Trump. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes. Yeah, I think they're right.
He says that's unfair to his voters.
For a long time. He was my governor.
He's my friend. I like Chris, and he answers my questions. I'll ask him this question next hour. Are you hurting Nikki Haley and thus helping Donald Trump? Do you think that's even arguable that he is?
He is, but I don't think he's going to care about that. If this is a self-interested, self-motivated campaign, it doesn't matter who he's hurting if he's benefiting himself. I don't know what benefit he derives from continuing in this race at this point, career-wise, reputationally. I don't see it. Maybe he does. Maybe there's a pathway there for him towards some post-campaign position in a White House, in the Trump White House, for example, in the private sector. I don't know, but I think he's doing profound reputational harm to himself by continuing in this race. He's done great good for himself so far. He has rehabilitated himself among those who resented the efforts that he did on behalf of Donald Trump in 2016 to make him more of a establishmentarian figure when he needed it. That was very important for him, and a lot of people resented that. And now a lot of the pro-Trump people who think that he turned his back on the former president and did him dirty have very little reason to believe that he's changed his colors. So I don't know where he's going with this, but as you said, the horse race is clear. He's hurting Nikki Haley, and I don't know what he gets out of it.
No, Rothman, always good. Clarity is wonderful. I appreciate yours. Thank you for joining me. Senior writer at National Review. Follow him on X at Noah C. Rothman.